Hi, my name is Belcher, and I'm here today to talk to you about what I think is the biggest secret on earth. It's the 5 steps of growth hacking. If you don't know what growth hacking is, it's basically shortcutting the normal growth cycle of a business. It's growing a business at, as my friend William Shatner would say, warp speed, right? So it's kind of jumping over all the hurdles that slow business growth down, but you do it by a system. And there's really a 5-step proven system for doing this that we've perfected at Digital Marketer over the last few years. Every 800-pound gorilla business, every business that dominates their market uses a variation of this simple 5-step plan. Companies like Starbucks, Home Depot, everybody that's come in and just annihilated an industry and taken it over as their own has used this basic 5-step program to do that. They don't teach it. Nobody does. Nobody wants to share this with you. The people that do this make hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars a year. And if you're a small thinker, this is probably really not for you. This is for a person who wants to grow a business, dominate their market, and take over, right? So I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that in the next few minutes. I've actually done this and sold over $200 million in just the last few years online alone, not counting offline sales, in 20 different markets in dozens of different businesses. And I've also taught a lot of other people to do this. As a founder of Digital Marketer, one of the co-founders of Digital Marketer with my friend Ryan Dice, we've taught tens of thousands of students how to market, sell, and promote their businesses, primarily using these 5 steps. And I know for a fact that our students have accumulated billions of dollars in sales as a result of them. So now I'm going to teach you exactly how you do this. I'm going to teach you the 5 simple steps. There's nothing that magical about it or that difficult about it, but you do have to do it in sequence. That's really, really important, and paying attention to that will get you where you want to get a lot faster, and I'll explain that when I do the math in a few minutes. We're going to flip the board over in a minute, and I'm going to show you the math or the mathematics behind each one of these steps and how it affects your business. So let's go to the very first step. Anytime you're going to sell anything to anyone, sales drives a company. That's it. So this system is all about how you sell more stuff, right? How you grow the business by sales, how you grow the business's profits at the same time. A lot of times those two don't go together. Companies that get a lot of sales have quite low profits because they're spending so much money in marketing and efforts to make more sales, it's difficult for them to retain a lot of profit. With this system, you do both along the way, okay? But you got to pay close attention. The first step to the system, step number 1, is something we call the lead magnet. Basically, the lead magnet is a method by which to get people to raise their hand to say that they're interested in whatever it is that you do. This has been going on forever and a day. If you tear a sheet out of a magazine, that's a lead magnet. That's if there's a little coupon in there that says ask for more information or whatever, that's a lead magnet. If you go online today, on most websites, there's a form that you can fill out to give them your email address or your phone number or your mailing address. There's something that they give you. There's a bribe there usually that they give you in exchange for your contact information. If you go to a store, like I shop at American Eagle a lot, and you go to American Eagle and they'll ask you if you'd like a discount. If you want a discount card, you can get one for free, but you got to give them your contact information. There are a number of ways to do this, but here's the thing. The average person who gives you their contact information or raises their hand and says they'd like more information, they'd like to know more about what you do, is giving you permission to sell to them. And you have a 300%, get this, 300% higher likelihood of them responding to your offers in the future if they've raised their hand and said they'd like to see them in the beginning, okay? This also gives you a couple other benefits. By getting their contact information, you have the ability to sell to them over time. A lot of people make a huge mistake. People walk into a store. Imagine you walk into a retail store, you walk around for a minute, they don't have anything you're looking for today, and the customer walks out, right? Every bit of effort you spent to bring the customer in is gone the minute they walk out the door if you didn't gather some sort of contact information to keep in touch with them, to show them what you've got new, because maybe you just didn't have what they wanted that day, but tomorrow you may very well have it, right? And also, in that constant communication, you give them the ability to know, like, and trust you, to learn who you are, to become their friend, to become their advisor, to become their protector. And that's super important, but you can't do that without contact information. So let me tell you a couple of the easiest ways that I know to get your lead magnet, right? To get a lead magnet that works for your business. The number 1 way that most marketers today get people to give them information, to get them to give you their information, is by giving them free info. Some sort of free information. A friend of mine, Joe Polish, was in the carpet cleaning business for years, and he gave away a free report that with the ad that says, warning, don't hire a carpet cleaner. So you've read this report about all the tricks and scams and the things that go on within the carpet cleaning industry. He gave away a piece of information, and once he'd give the person the information, they were giving him in return permission to market to them. And he built the largest carpet cleaning business in the country at the time, the largest privately owned carpet cleaning business in the country at the time, with that one particular method. The second thing that you can give people is free stuff, right? The cosmetic industry knows this better than anybody else. If you go to a cosmetics counter at any department store, they give you free sample packs, right? What they're really giving you is not a free sample. What they're giving you is free proof that whatever it is that you're looking at works. So when you're putting together a sample, make sure you're giving the customer a product that they can take action upon, get a result from, and realize that whatever you do will actually solve a problem for them or create a benefit for them. So a sample is a great way to get a lead magnet. Most people will trade you their contact information to get a sample. The next way is to get, this is a good one by the way, is to get the price. This kind of sounds funny. A lot of times people will give you their contact information to get the price of something. If you don't believe this is true, try to go tomorrow, look at a used car on a used car lot, go home and call up the car dealer and say, hey, how much is that blue Pontiac on the lot out front? There's no way on the earth he's going to say, oh, it's $7,525. He's not going to do that because he knows the second he does that, you're going to hang up the phone, say thank you, hang up the phone, and you're gone shopping to another car dealer. What he's usually going to say is, you know, I don't know. I got to go look that one up for you. Let me have your phone number and I'll call you right back, right? He's exchanging his pricing information for your contact information and getting you to give him the permission to sell, right? His odds of success just went up by 300% by making that one move. Most businesses don't do this. The other thing is you give them one answer, right? You give them an answer, a simple answer. A great example is a friend of mine sells a course, a dating course on how to meet a nice girl, how to get a girlfriend, etc. And he has something called the KISS test. So if you'll give him your contact information, he'll tell you how to know when a girl is ready to kiss you, right? So, and he's got a scientific method to it. It's only one paragraph long. The answer is only one paragraph long. But what you got to find out to make that particular kind of lead magnet work is what is that burning question, that one burning question going on inside the mind of your customer before they're ready to buy. Like an example would be, if someone were wanting to hire a realtor to sell their house, you know what they really want to know? They want to know what their house is worth. If you'll give them a free answer, an appraisal, and say, you know, your house is really worth $458,000 or whatever, that one thing, to do that little mini appraisal, they may be willing to give you contact information and permission to continue to sell to them. Okay? And lastly, along the same lines as the realtor, is giving people one small service, right? One small service, like a mini appraisal. You'll come out and give a mini appraisal to their house. Back to the cosmetics industry, they do makeovers. You know, a lot of people will do makeovers on a Saturday afternoon at a department store to get people used to using their cosmetics. They'll give them samples, they'll exchange for a lead, and that's how they begin the marketing process. Everyone knows, every marketer knows that the leads that come into you are much, much, much more likely to sell than the people just walking by on the street, or the people that's happening by your website, or the people that you met at a conference, or anything else. The contact information is the key. So the lead magnet's the first step in this process. The second step in this process is called the tripwire sale. This is probably the most misunderstood element to most winning marketing campaigns and most competition crushing businesses. People that come into the market and just destroy the whole market and crush the market, and the competitors never even know what hit them. Most of those people are using a tripwire sale to do that. Let me explain what a tripwire sale is. A tripwire sale, I don't know if you've ever seen these ads before. They're not as plentiful as they used to be, but there's a company called Columbia House Records, or Columbia House Music and Movies now, I think it is. They do DVD ads still. You've seen the ads before. They kind of look like this. They're in a magazine and they've got, like, you get 15, used to be records and tapes, then it was CDs, now it's movies. Get 10 movies or DVDs for just $1 when you join Columbia House Records, right? It's an irresistible offer. That's the secret to a good tripwire. It's an irresistible offer with very, 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 very low resistance, okay? Very low resistance. In other words, people aren't making a big financial commitment to buy something from you. It's just the initial sale. It's just that sale that trips them over the wire that gets them started in the process. There's all sorts of magic that happens during the tripwire sale. Not the least of, there's actually a chemical change that goes on in the brain the second a person buys something. There are endorphins released, right? There's a dopamine release to the brain as soon as you buy something. And guess what you want to do instantly? Buy something else. You have a chemical reaction that takes over in your brain that you just can't hardly help. Anybody that's ever been clothes shopping for 3 weeks without buying anything and then goes in one day to a store and buys that one sweater or that one pair of shoes, that one dress, and then ends up spending $1,000 knows exactly what I'm talking about. You get into the ether, you're in the mood, you're ready to go, right? I got somebody not long ago that gave me a golf driver. They bought me a really expensive golf driver, and I don't have good golf clubs. But the very next afternoon, or that same afternoon rather, I went out and bought a whole new set of golf clubs to go with the driver, and the next day I bought clothes, and I bought shoes, and I bought tees, and I bought everything else to play golf, because that person pretty much put the tripwire in my hand. They gave me that first thing, that first purchase, and I just couldn't help but want everything that went with it. So the tripwire is super important. Columbia House was a great example of that. By the way, if you wonder if that offer worked or not, that funky old ad, right? For 20 years, they employed 15,000 people in Terre Haute, Indiana, and I think it was 15,000 or 14,000 people, and they produced 15% of all the music on planet Earth. All of it. 15% of all of it. They were by far the largest seller of records, tapes, DVDs, CDs, cassettes, all the way back to 8-track tapes worldwide by using that one simple offer to bring millions of people into their record club. Another example, a few years ago I started a candle supply company. And the only way that I was able to break in, I didn't have a lot of money, and that's one of the great things with the tripwire. You don't have to be rich to make the tripwire work for you, okay? I didn't have a lot of money, and I wanted to compete with all these other candle suppliers in my business. And in 1 year's time, I put the largest candle supplier out of business, and I put most of the rest of them on notice. And I did it by doing one simple thing, one simple tripwire. I looked at what goes into a candle when you're going to make candles, what goes into a candle. And one thing that's synonymous with candles is a candle wick, right? Everybody else sold candle wicks for $20 or $30 a thousand, and I could buy them for $2 a thousand. So all I did was offer candle wicks for $2 a thousand. Pretty soon, everybody who made candles, no matter who they were, had to buy their candles from me. They didn't have a choice. They had to buy their candle wicks from me. They didn't have a choice. Once I had them buying my candle wicks, I was able to eventually sell them wax, fragrance, candle molds, and everything else that went with that business. And we built a $10 million business in less than a year by selling candle wicks at dead cost. That's a tripwire offer. That's an irresistible offer. It's an offer where people don't make money, right? So candle wicks, let me put that in. One of the greatest examples of tripwire offers today are Groupon deals and all the other deal sites. The idea behind Groupon is the tripwire at its purest form. It's come into my restaurant with a coupon and eat for 75% off. It's get a haircut for $5. It's do any of these things that you get the Groupon coupon for. These businesses do that. If you don't know how it works, by the way, they pay Groupon a great deal of money, and when you're going in paying your $5 for your haircut, they've given that $5 to Groupon. They're getting nothing, really, other than the most important thing. They're getting the ability to acquire a customer. Listen to that. The ability to acquire a customer. And in every business, no matter what level that customer comes in the door, that is the most valuable thing you can do to grow your business, period. He who can acquire the most customers always wins. And the amazing part is people don't understand. A $5 customer is just as good in most cases as a $50 customer or a $100 customer or a $500 customer. They're just as likely to come back and spend more money, actually much more likely than a person off the street, but their ability to buy something much more expensive is equal to a buyer who paid full price. And that's the big trick to the tripwire, or one of the big tricks to the tripwire. I'll give you an example. This was pretty funny. A couple of years ago, I had a lawn service guy that showed up at my door one day at the beginning of spring and offered to mow my lawn for $5. This was a tripwire offer. He already knew I was paying another kid $30 to mow my lawn. He offered to do it for $5, right? Well, of course I gave him a shot, and he actually did a better job for $5 than my $30 kid did. But he told me right up front, I'll mow it the first time for $5, and if you like it, I'll get you back up to regular price eventually. But he was really, really, really smart. He did a sequential tripwire. So what that meant is, at the end of the lawn being mowed for $5, he said, Mr. Perry, what do you think? And I said, man, it looks great. It looks super. He said, okay, great. Well, I want to cut it again next time. Here's a coupon. Next time I'll cut it for $10. Still $20 less than the guy that I had, right? He's got me. I'm hooked, right? The third time he comes back, he gives me a coupon for $20. Still $10 less than my other guy, but he leaves a little flower pot on the doorstep for my wife with flowers in it. Now I'm screwed, right? Not only is he giving me a tripwire offer, not only is he over-delivered, but he's actually, not only has he done a better job than the other guy, he actually over-delivered. He gave me something I didn't even pay for, right? I can never get rid of this guy. He is my lawn guy now, right? He's going to be forever. And he used that one simple trick to go in and take over an entire neighborhood, an entire higher income, affluent neighborhood of lawn care where he can pick his own customers. He goes literally from my house to my next door neighbor on the left, to my next door neighbor on the right, to the guy across the street. He basically has total domination of the whole neighborhood now. Nobody goes anywhere else, okay? And lastly, one of the things that you can do as a tripwire are free trials. Free trials are pretty common. These are my least favorite tripwire offers, and I'll tell you why. Anytime anymore that you say, I'm going to give you something for free to people, they're very, very, very leery of it. My objective of a tripwire is to make that customer buy something from me. I don't care what it is. If it's $1, that's fine. Because here's why. Here's the big thing. Once somebody buys anything from me, anything at any price, our relationship changes. I'm no longer a guy selling to them. Now I'm their advisor. They are my client. It's not like I'm a salesman and they're a prospect. Once money has changed hands, the whole thing changes, right? I believe that today is the hardest time ever in the history of the world to get people to give you money the first time. I think it's the hardest time ever. That kind of sucks. That's bad news, right? So what you got to do is reduce that barrier entry down to where there's zero risk. It's like buying a stick of gum. It doesn't matter, but you exchange money and you over-deliver with a service. Now, here's the second thing that I believe. I believe today is the easiest time in history to get someone to give you money the second time. That's the secret and the beauty to the tripwire, okay? So here are the big things. Remember the tripwire: low cost, low risk, and something that is essential to the process. Those are the things that make the very best tripwire offers totally irresistible. Now, let's go to the third part of the process, the core sale. This is where most people start. They ignore these parts and they're trying to sell whatever it is they're selling, their expensive service, their expensive thing, right? They're trying to sell that to a cold prospect right off the street that's never known them, never trusted them, never done anything. A great example of this, I have clients that sell local marketing services. They go out and help restaurants and dry cleaners and people like that to sell to market their businesses. Those are expensive services. Anywhere from $500 to $1,500 a month is what they're selling. So they go out and sell somebody on the idea of, hey, let me tell you what I can do for your business now. Give me $1,500. That's a very, very, very hard sale to make if that person doesn't know you. So what I advised my people to do, and now they have tremendous success, is to go out and offer just to build a YouTube video or a Twitter background or some very tiny service for the clients for just $20. Just $20. Now, I want you to think about this for a minute. The people who were going in and selling a $1,500 service had an average close rate of 5%. That meant they had to go call on 20 prospects, right? 20 prospects to get one of them to give them $1,500, right? Big commitments, $1,500 a month, right? Only 5%. Still pretty good, but still 5%. But when they went in and said, let me do this service for you for $20, and to make it even sweeter, I'll bill you the $20. You don't have to pay me for 60 days. And if I don't deliver on everything I say I'm going to deliver on, you don't pay me at all. I don't care. But I am going to ask you to sign this thing that this is a sale and we're exchanging money for services, and now you are a client, right? And I'm your advisor, I'm your provider, and I'm charging you $20 to put a video of your restaurant up on YouTube. How about that? Right? Almost no resistance. Almost everybody did it, right? So what they did that was really cool, they put the video up on YouTube, but they didn't tell them. They SEO'd the video too. They drove a little SEO to the video. They put it on 2 or 3 video services instead of just YouTube. They over-delivered on the $20. Now here's the cool part. When they went back to show the results to the customers that paid $20, right, for the video, and they over-delivered, then they went back to sell them the $1,500 sale, they had a 70% close rate. 70% of the people who bought the $20 tripwire were willing to spend $1,500. It's called commitment and consistency, and it's a law of marketing. And you'll learn more about that as we move along together and we get to know each other better. Okay? So here's the things about a core sale that you need to know. When you do get to that point of making your core sale, and I'm not going to spend much time on this because this is honestly the easiest part of all. Once you've done this, this becomes almost automatic, as does the rest of the process. This is the part you need to concentrate most of your effort on. This kind of takes care of itself. But the core sale requires only a few things when you go to talk to somebody. The big promise. What's in it for me? That's all people care about anymore. It's not about you, it's about them. So you walk in the first few seconds, you've got to tell a person, here's my big promise for you and here's the big benefit for you. The second part of the process are points of belief. Right? How many things are you asking this customer to believe, and why should he believe you? People automatically are not going to believe you. Now, let me tell you how you overcome that. And I know you'll know this is true if you've ever tried to sell anything. People don't buy mainly because they just don't believe you. They don't believe the thing's for them. They don't believe you. They don't believe the value is there in the price. There are a number of other reasons they don't buy. But all of that gets overcome back here, right? They learn to know, like, and trust you over here because you've delivered such a value for such a minimum amount of money. Automatically, they believe you. They trust you. They believe the promises that you make. Okay? The third part to making this sale is solid proof. Screw a sales pitch. You don't need one. Fancy sales pitches are irrelevant at this point. Proof trumps all. I don't know if you ever saw Billy Mays or not, the pitch man on television. But in every pitch that he did, everybody thought he was an amazing pitch man. He had an electric personality and all that. All that didn't matter. None of it mattered. In every commercial Billy Mays ever shot, he had a big proof element. He called it the wow element, right? He had a thing that went to, he had a little pad that went in your shoes, I believe it was, and it absorbed impact when you walked. So the way he demonstrated was by wrapping it around his hand and then beating his own hand with a hammer, right? Right in front of the camera with just as hard as he could. But the cushion absorbed the impact. He actually put the thing over his foot and let a dump truck run over his foot on the commercial. How much pitch do you need, right? One of my clients has a guy that stands in front of a piece of plywood and drives golf balls through the piece of plywood, leaving big cannon-sized holes in it. And then just looks at the camera and says, you want to learn how to drive golf balls like this? Give me your email address. Give me your lead information, and I'll show you how. Right? Proof. Proof trumps all. You need to make an irresistible offer. An offer, when you're selling to your customers, I want you to think about this right now. Whatever you're selling, whatever you're offering your customers, Do your customers feel stupid if they don't buy from you? That's the objective. That's the target. That's what you're going for. You want them to feel dumb if they don't buy from you. And lastly, you need a call to action. This sounds obvious as the nose on your face, but I see more sales blown right here than anywhere else. A salesman will demonstrate the car and all of its features. Someone will turn the sofa upside down to show you how it's constructed and what the leather inside of it is. They'll explain all the mechanics. I have a saying about that. Don't tell me about the labor pains, just show me the baby, right? I just want to see the result, and that's all your customer cares about. And if you've demonstrated clearly here that you're going to give them a result, here's the big secret. This is the secret to sales. This is the secret to being a spectacular salesperson. Have what they want to start with, prove that you deliver value, and at the end, ask them to buy it. Don't even ask them, in fact, tell them to buy it. Just like you would tell a friend sitting across from a coffee shop if they needed help. If you had a friend, if you had a lady friend and she was being beaten by her husband, right? And she needed to get out of her house or she was going to get killed. You wouldn't get to the end of this as a friend and go, you know, after you've told her all the reasons why she needs to leave, you wouldn't say, well, okay, you know all the reasons you need to leave. You want to get some more coffee? You would be insistent that she leave now, right now. You need to do this right now. It's good for you. If someone were sick, you would insist they go to the hospital if you were a friend, right? Right here, if you will insist people buy, you will get all the sales that you can possibly stand if you've done these other things in advance. Now, here's the thing. If you don't believe in your product enough to insist upon that, then you're selling the wrong thing. Look at what you're selling. Think about that. You may not have the confidence and the belief in the product that you're actually selling. If that's the case, maybe it's time to make a change. Because here's the good news. Here's the good news. Right? Whether you're selling pizzas or pretzels, I don't know, refrigerators or radiators for cars, it doesn't matter. This process works for everything. I've sold books with it. I've sold tapes with it. I've sold chemicals with it. I've sold rubber stamps with this process. I've sold water filters with this process. I've sold gift baskets with this process. It doesn't matter. The product is irrelevant. The process is what matters. Okay, now I'm running out of time here. Notice there's a line here. This is a really important line. Okay? This is called what I call the profit line. I'm willing in my businesses to ignore 100% of all the money I make here and spend all that money to give my customers a great experience and to buy advertising and marketing to get more people to come into my funnel, to come into my marketing funnel. That's what this is, basically. I'm willing to spend 100% of what I make here to get to this line, right? I want to do two things with that money. I want to advertise to get more people to know that I exist. I want to bring more leads into my funnel through my lead magnets. And I want to spend the rest of the money delivering an incredible wow experience for the people who have spent little money with me down here. I call this little money. This is all little money. Even if this is free and this is $10 and this is $100, that's still little money. Here's where the big money comes in. Step number 4 are profit maximizer sales. Also known by a lot of people, upsells, cross-sells, bundle sales, all those things. This is where all the money that the 800-pound gorillas make is made. All of it, right? All of it. So let me explain. A profit maximizer sale is a sale made after the core sale is made. Now here's the biggest secret to the profit maximizer sales, and don't discount this, write this down. This is a writer downer. The very best time to sell somebody something else, right, is instantly after they've bought the first thing from you. Once they've bought the tripwire, we're instantly going to offer them the core sale. Once they've bought the core sale, we're instantly going to offer them a profit maximizer sale. Here's why. It's back to those chemicals, those endorphins, that ether that they're under once they're in the buying mode. There's a 20% rule. 20% of the people that buy something will buy something else at 5 to 10 times its cost. And 20% of them will buy something else at 5 to 10 times the cost of that upsell. And 20% of them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I used to sell fishing DVDs for a very famous fisherman that's on television. And he would sell a fishing DVD for $20. Out of those people, 20% of those people would buy a $100 bigger fishing course. Out of those people, 20% would buy a $495 fishing university. And out of those people, 20% of those would buy a $10,000 day to go fishing with this celebrity. Now, arguably, that's a lower number of people, a very low number of people when you get down to the bottom. But the thing is, when you have each of those layers in place, just like you have here, most businesses are only making their money in this one place. You're making money in 5 different places, and it multiplies because the tickets go up as you move along. Okay, let me explain. So profit maximizers. Here's a great example. McDonald's upsells. Okay, everybody's been to McDonald's, I assume. So everybody's been to McDonald's. You know what they do at McDonald's. Do you want fries and a Coke with that? Do you want to supersize that? They know it all, man. When McDonald's introduced upsells and cross-sells into their business, their profits quadrupled overnight. It was the biggest growth in McDonald's history. Okay, let me explain why, math-wise. The average McDonald's customer, McDonald's spends $1.91 to get a customer to drive through the McDonald's drive-thru, right? $1.91. They only sell a hamburger on average price for $2.08. That's only a 19-cent profit. 19 cents. Pretty slim, right? But when you buy the fries and the Coke to go with your hamburger, and that's the reason everything's bundled now. You can't hardly buy something. You can't hardly just go buy a burger. It's not even hardly on the menu, right? When you buy the fries and the Coke that go with the burger now, guess what? That extra $1.88 that you spend, that extra $1.77 that you spend for that, $1.39 of that's pure profit. In other words, McDonald's makes 12 times more profit on that little upsell than it makes on the core sale. Why? They've already absorbed the cost of acquiring the customer. The core sales job, all this, the job of everything here, is to absorb the cost of acquiring the customer. Okay, that's it. All the profits made here. Cable companies do a great job with this. Cable bundles. Get your phone, cable, and internet all together, right? That's upping a ticket. That's confusing prices where nobody knows exactly what they're paying for what, but they'll put together such a value bundle, right, that you'll buy all your services from the cable company. It's a great way of raising the ticket. If they just sold you cable TV for $40 a month, they may only make $10 a month. When they sell you all the other services, they make $40 or $50 a month, or 3 or 4 times more profit. Anywhere from 5 times to 20 times more profit is very common by adding just one. And you can add more than one. Just adding one single profit maximizer. Amazon does what's called cross sales. And what that means, they offer you related products. So you bought a new video camera at Amazon. Have you ever noticed their phraseology when you get ready to check out? Most people who bought this new video camera also bought this tripod and this microphone. That's a cross sale, right? And just by suggesting those things to you, 20 or 30% of the audience take those additional products. They have no marketing costs in those sales. They had to spend money in marketing to get you to come in to buy the video camera. They didn't have to spend anything to get you to buy the tripod. And the tripod's probably a much more profitable item to start with. A couple of people that do this that you might not know do it, because everything, the great part about this is this all happens underneath the iceberg. It handles, other people look at your business and they can't figure out what you're doing because they see you at the top of the iceberg selling some little cheap something. They don't realize that under the iceberg, at the bottom, under the ocean where they can't see, there's a giant amount of money being made, right? Starbucks does a great job. They call them slack adjusters. Slack adjusters. You might want to write that down. When you go to a Starbucks, you get a cup of coffee. It's $3 or $4, right? But there's always a $200 or $300 coffee pot sitting in Starbucks, or a cappuccino machine or whatever. They don't sell those very often. They don't. But it's a big deal when they do. Maybe they only sell 1 or 2 or 3 a day. That's $800-900 in coffee pots. You got to sell a lot of cups of coffee to make up for $900 in coffee pot sales. That's a slack adjuster. Every business should have it, and it goes to that 20-20-20 rule. People will buy a cup of coffee. Eventually, they'll buy a bag of coffee for home. Eventually, they'll buy a coffee maker, right? That's the way that it works. And those percentages will be, out of everybody that buys coffee at Starbucks, probably 20% of the people buy ground beans and coffee, and out of those people, probably 20% of those buy a Starbucks coffee pot to make it in. That's the way the math works. Okay, so that's profit maximizers. There's a couple people that do this that I think you might be interested to know do it in a very big way. Best Buy is a great example. Best Buy makes $0 on selling electronics. None. $0. So when you go to Best Buy and you go through this whole process and they get here and they sell you a camcorder, their marketing costs, their cost to operate their store, their cost to employees, all that, the cost of the camera, here, they've either lost money or they broke even. That's the way their business model works. 100% of their profit is made from Geek Squad service and from selling you a warranty. That's the reason you can't hardly get out of Best Buy no matter what you buy without buying a warranty. They won't let you do it, right? Another one, a great example of this is another company called NTW, or National Tire Warehouse. They dominate the tire business. They wipe out all their competition no matter where they go, because they go in, they open a big tire warehouse, right? And they sell 100% of the tires at zero profit. They don't make anything on them. They sell you the tires for exactly what they pay for them from the distributors and the tire manufacturers. So how do they make money? By installation and lifetime balancing. So you buy a set of tires, you end up paying about $120 to have the tires put on and balanced. They're willing to sell you the tires at dead cost just to be able to sell you the installation and balancing services. Okay? Car dealerships do this with financing. They'll sell you a car at below wholesale or below invoice just so they can finance the car for you, because they make $2,000 or $3,000 when they do the financing from the banks. The banks pay them a commission. There are a lot of businesses that operate this way, and most people, ordinary people, just don't understand. They don't know that it's going on. They just know that, man, those tires at NTW, that's the best deal on tires. I have to buy my tires at NTW. Or I have to go buy my electronics at Best Buy because their prices are always the lowest. Of course they are. They don't make any money. That's the whole point. But they're billion-dollar companies based on this profit maximizer model. Okay? Now, there's one more step. It's called the customer return path. Okay? All that means, it's kind of a fancy word, a fancy term that means getting your customers to come back more often. That's all that it means, right? But when you think about multiplying all the other steps of your process, if now you can get the customers to come back to you 2 or 3 times more often than they were before, that multiplies those steps again. Because I'm going to show you in math a few minutes from now, everything's compounding along this process. Don't leave till you see the math part, because it's really important. So customer return path is simple, right? This is the most overlooked asset of most businesses. The customer base that they currently have, the customers who have already bought from you, are 20 times more likely to buy from you again than somebody walking by on the street. All you got to do is keep in touch with them. That's pretty much it. It's not really that hard. When I consult with clients, my consulting is very, very expensive, in the thousands of dollars a month. And when I consult with clients, they don't care. They don't care how much I cost, because I make them more money than they pay me. Instantaneously, right? By the way, in advance, results in advance. I practice the same things. I basically work just like the lawn guy does. I come to a client and say, hey, look, I looked at your business. I can make you an extra $50,000 a month. Would you like to hire me for $10,000 a month to do that? Well, it's a no-brainer, right? So going back to their customer base, their existing customer base, is the first place I go to extract a lot of money out of their list so they can pay me. It's real easy to do, and I've been doing it for a long time. It always works. Here's the secrets to a return path, to getting people to come back more often. Number 1, constant communications. Right? Imagine, everybody's got one of these. Who's got a friend that calls you when they want to borrow money? That's the only time they want to call you, is when they want to borrow money, right? If you treat your customer base that way, that's exactly the way they feel, right? A customer buys something from you, 3 months later, you send them an email or you call them, tell them you got a sale running and they want to buy something else. You haven't kept in constant communication with them on a regular basis. This is so easy to do now with fax, with email, with SMS messaging, with regular phone calls. We use a service called Phone Burner to call all of our customers on a regular basis. This is paramountly important. If you don't do anything else, just have a constant communication. Send a newsletter, electronic newsletter, doesn't matter, to your customers once a month to tell them what's going on in your life. And don't always talk about business. Tell them about your dog. Tell them about your fishing trip. Tell them about your kid's graduation, right? They just want to know, like, and trust you more. That's who we spend money with. Okay? So constant communications will definitely get you a long way in your customer return path. The second thing, again, I refer to Starbucks a lot because they do a lot of things right. Our loyalty programs, right? Starbucks loyalty programs, the little cards they give you, you punch the card. I can't go with my daughter to Starbucks without her insisting that she uses her card. It keeps her coming back. She wouldn't dare go to any other place. The casinos in Las Vegas, I have clients in Las Vegas in the casino business. They are huge, huge, huge proponents of loyalty programs. They have birthday parties for their biggest gamblers. They fly them in on private jets. They give them suites. They give them all those things. Loyalty programs are huge. Treat your customers like kings and queens. They'll stay with you forever. They'll come back more often. They'll buy more stuff, right? And now you're going to be making more money every time they buy stuff, right? Third is line extensions. This is one of the biggest mistakes I see customers make or clients of mine make, right? They sell one thing, but their customers are buying many things, especially in the same process. I bought a water filter company a couple years ago, a year and a half ago now. And we make water filters, we manufacture them. And one of the first things that I found out when I went in, I said, what do people do with our water filters? And they said, well, they put them in these big stainless steel vessels in these industrial plants and they filter water or desalinate water with them. And I said, okay, how many of the big vessels do we sell and how much do they sell for? And he said, oh, we don't sell the vessels, we're just in the filter business. That's super stupid, right? Super stupid. Because our customers are buying the vessels. Our customers are also buying chemicals. Our customers are also buying different kinds of filters that we don't sell. So now we're a dealer on all that stuff. We don't make as much money off the stuff we sell as a dealer as we do the products that we manufacture, but our customers come back and buy from us now 2 or 3 times a month a piece instead of once every 3 or 4 months because we have everything they need, right? That's frequency. Line extensions will get you that. My lawn guy should have a guy that paints houses and paves driveways and cleans houses and does all kinds of stuff because I would use all of his different buddies because I trust him, I like him, and I know him, right? If he did that, he would multiply his business. Unfortunately, he doesn't. But the line extensions are super important. And, excuse me, but the biggest way of all to generate a solid return path are continuity programs. These are getting people to automatically bill every month for a service, to automatically consume whatever it is that you sell every single month. And you might think, well, I don't know if that works for my business or not. I'll tell you, continuity programs are becoming very popular in all kinds of businesses. They've been around forever for cell phone companies. They bill you every month. Magazine subscriptions bill you every month. Utility companies bill you every month. Those are continuity programs, and they're the most solid businesses in the world, and everybody knows it. But now, for instance, where I get my car washed, I used to go pay $12 to get my car washed every time I ran it through the car wash. Now I pay $49 a month, and I can go get my car washed as much as I want. It's like a gym membership, right? But there's a lot of breakage in those things. There's usually a lot of value. Breakage means people don't use the services that they buy. There's a big massage chain now that's become a multi-billion-dollar company called Massage Envy because they took the little bitty massage salon idea and made it a $49 a month continuity program, and now they're worth $1 billion. This is where it's at in a return path, okay? Now, in just a second, what I want to do is flip over the board. I want to show you the math of how all this works. But just so you'll understand it, I want you to be thinking about this for a second right as I flip the board. If you can get more leads, if you can get more people to come in and say, I'm interested in whatever it is you're selling, if you can get more of those people to buy a tripwire sale, 4, 5, 6, 10 times more, if you can get these people, you can get 4, 5, 6 times more people to buy your core sale that you're currently selling right now because they're already existing customers. And if you can get each one of those customers to produce 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 times more profit per sale for you, and you can get them to come back just 3 or 4 times more often, do you realize how that compounds the growth of a business? That's growth hacking. That's what it is. That's what it's about. And less than 1% of businesses actually do this. I would say probably less than 1/10 of 1%. Some do an element here and an element there. But in a second, you'll see why it's so important that you do all 5. Okay, let's flip the board over now and do the math. So let's see if we can turn this over. Great. Okay, so I call this the magical math of growth hacking. And this is the part that really should just melt your mind, right? Because watch this. Let's assume for a minute, the magical math of growth hacking, let's assume for a minute that today you have a business that makes $100 a day. I have no idea where you are. You may have a business that makes $1 million a day. You might not have any business at all. I have no idea. But let's say that you have a business that makes $100 a day. Every day, it's kind of automatic. Let's say it's a car wash, convenience, whatever. It makes $100 a day. So you would make roughly $36,500 a year. $36,500 a year. Now let's imagine that you apply the 5 principles I just showed you to that exact same business. Wouldn't it be safe to assume that by using the tripwire and lead magnets and the other things that I showed you, you would easily be able to acquire 3 times more customers to your core sale? 3 times more customers to your core sale. We have 34 different methods to do this, by the way. 34 different methods that I use. I just showed you a few. But we can always accomplish this. It's quite easy to do. So 3 times more customers acquired, right? What would happen to your business? What would your $36,500 a year business be worth if you acquired 3 times as many customers? It would be worth 3 times as much. You'd be 3 times as profitable. Probably a little more because of scale. But let's just say 3 times for now. What's that add up to? Making that one change in your business and taking to $300 a day brings your sales up to brings your profits up to $109,500 a year. There's a big difference between $36,000 and $109,000. That's right at $10,000 a month. That seems to be the number that everybody associates with actually being rich. People believe they make $10,000 a month, that they're rich, they're wealthy. And that's kind of true. You're in the top 2% of all wealth earners. You can live a very nice lifestyle. And just by making that one simple change, it's the first part of the funnel I showed you, you can accomplish this, right? If you don't do anything else, right? But in a second, you're going to see how stupid that is. Because some people do this. Some people get advanced. I call them advanced marketers. They do this, and they go from $36,000 to $109,000. But let me show you. Here's the wild part, right? So let's say on every sale that we make 3 times more profit, right? McDonald's makes 12 times more profit with just one upsell. So it's real easy to get 3 times more profit on each sale. But here's the wild part. Now you have 3 times as many customers multiplied by making 3 times as much per sale. One step multiplies upon the other. One expounds upon the other. This is exponential growth, right? So what happens to your business? Suddenly you're doing $900 a day instead of $100 a day or $300 a day, and you're making $328,500 a year. Big, big difference. Do you see why the sequence and the steps are so incredibly important? Right? They're so incredibly important. Now, I will have to tell you here, if your market does not bear this growth size, this won't work as well. And what I mean by that is, if you're selling, fingernail polishing services in Tupelo, Mississippi, your market size might be too small and your ticket size might be too small to accomplish this kind of growth. But if you have a national exposure, a larger city, or you're selling into a niche market, you don't have to be in a big city to sell a bunch of leather craft supplies, for instance. As long as the market size is big enough to absorb this, you will dominate and take the dominant position in that particular market with this strategy. So $328,500, big difference from $36,500, right? That's a 10x multiple, and you've only done 2 steps, right? You've only done 2 steps to get a 10x multiple, right? Almost a 10x multiple. But the last one's the real kicker. What if you get these people to come back and spend money 3 times more often? Just 3 times more often. That's with loyalty programs, continuity programs, constant contact, all the things that I showed you. Normally, we can increase frequency of customers anywhere from 5 to 20 times frequency increase when I'm working with private clients over time, okay? So let's just say 3 times just for now, just 3 times. That multiplies again. There's another compounding effect, and your $100 business is now a $2,700 a day business taking in a profit of $985,500 a year. Almost $1 million, right? This is how you accomplish that. And it can be accomplished in a relatively small business without a big capital cash investment. You don't need a lot of money. You just need to think strategically. You have to think differently. You have to work smarter, not harder. You don't need more people. You don't need more money. You don't need more resources in most cases. You can just put these steps in place, and these results are a mathematical certainty. Pull out your pencil and paper and try to argue with me. Spend hours on it if you want to. You can't beat it. It is math. Math doesn't lie. There are only two things that grow businesses: emotions and mathematics. And mathematics never lie. This is arithmetic. Now, if you're looking back at all this going, Perry, that's awesome, but what you're talking about sounds like it's very hard to do. It sounds very complicated. It sounds like there are a lot of steps. That's because it kind of is, to be honest with you. There's a lot to it. So most people think that I sell products to do this. I don't. I don't sell anything. I don't sell any kind of product to do this. I don't have any kind of anything you can buy right now that'll teach you how to do any of this. I do private client work with a handful of people, just a handful of people. I do it with some startups. I do it with some existing smaller businesses, and I do most of my consulting with larger businesses that are already grossing over $1 million a year. If you want to see if you qualify to work with me, here are my criteria. Number one, you have to be open-minded, right? You can't be a jerk. You can't be mean. I don't work with mean people. I don't need to. I've got plenty of money. I got plenty of resources. I don't have to do it. I'm not going to do anything I don't have to do, right? Third, you really have to know exactly what it is that you do want. That's the most important thing, because I won't work with somebody if they don't really know what they want in the end, right? So if you're willing to do those things, keep an open mind, be friendly and fun to work with, and you got something interesting or an interesting fun project, I'd love to hear about it and find out if there's a way that we can work together on it. If you'd like to look into that, you can go to my website at partnerwithperry.com. That's partnerwithperry.com. And there's some other information there that you can look at that explains more of how my consulting clients work with me. There are only a handful of them. So, take a look at it, see if it's for you. Honestly, private consulting with me is not for most people. So if it's not for you, I totally get it. But take a look. I think you'll find it interesting. And I think going through the process to see how I find my clients and how I do away with the ones that I don't really want, and how my tripwires work and all that, it's a great lesson in business just to go through the process. So if you'll go right now to partnerwithperry.com, you can find out about working more with me. If you do want to find more videos like this, you might want to subscribe to my YouTube channel and get more videos, because I do these pretty often. So thanks a lot. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. And really, don't just keep playing around in your business. You don't want just a job. You want a business, right? Put these systems in place. Whether I help you or whether you do it on your own, you can figure it out. It'll just take you more time. But take the time and do it. You don't have to have me to do it, right? But if you want to shortcut the process, if you want to work with somebody that's done this now near 100 times, I'm glad to help you as long as our visions align. So go to partnerwithperry.com right now, and I'll see you on the other side.